Today, you don't need university to succeed.
I completely disagree. University is still very important.
Welcome to Epic Friday Debate.
It is great to be here. I am Jordan, and I am ready to dig into this topic.
And I am Taylor. We are so happy you are listening today. This is a show where we look at big questions from two different sides. We want to understand the strongest arguments for each perspective.
Exactly. We do not fight. We debate, we listen, and hopefully, we learn something new.
Today, we are asking a very big question. It is a question that affects millions of people around the world. The question is university still necessary today?
This is a huge topic. For a long time, the answer was simple. If you wanted a good job, you went to university. It was the main path. It was, the golden ticket.
That is true. It used to be the only path, but the world has changed. Technology has changed. Now we have online courses, vocational training, and the ability to start businesses from our bedrooms. So the old rules might not apply anymore. We need to ask if that golden ticket is still worth the price.
I think this matters because it involves so much money and time. Choosing to go to university is a commitment of 3 or 4 years, sometimes more. And it is a financial commitment that can affect you for decades. It is probably the first big investment a young person makes.
Absolutely. It shapes your future. So let's explain our positions clearly for the listeners. I will be arguing that university is not always necessary today. I believe that alternative paths like gaining experience, self-learning, or vocational training are often equally valuable and sometimes even better.
Stable career.
Excellent. I think our positions are clear. Since you are defending the traditional path, why don't you start? Why do you think university is still so important?
I would love to start. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I have 3 main reasons why I think university is essential. My first point is about what I call the gatekeeper professions.
Gatekeeper professions? Can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. These are jobs where you simply cannot work without a formal degree. I am talking about medicine, law, engineering, and architecture. Think about it. If you need surgery, do you want a doctor who learned from watching videos online?
That is a scary thought. No, I definitely want a doctor who went to medical school.
Exactly. For these specific careers, there is no alternative. You cannot be a self-taught dentist or a self-taught civil engineer who builds bridges. Society requires these degrees for safety and legal reasons. The university system acts as a quality control. It ensures that the person doing the job actually knows how to do it safely. It protects the public.
I see why you think that, and I agree regarding doctors. But that only covers a specific set of jobs. What about the rest of the working world? What about business, arts, or technology?
Well, that leads to my second point, which is about structure and skills. Being a young adult is difficult. When you leave high school, you don't always know how to manage your time or think critically about complex problems. University provides a necessary structure.
You mean like a schedule?
Yes, but more than that, it teaches you discipline. You have deadlines, you have difficult exams, you have to write long papers that require research. This forces you to grow up. It teaches you how to handle complex tasks before you enter the real workforce. It is a safe place to make mistakes and learn from them. If you go straight into a job, a mistake might get you fired. In university, a mistake just gets you a lower grade, and you learn.
So you view it as a training ground for adulthood? A bridge between being a child and a worker?
Yes, exactly. And my third point is about people. It is about networking. People often say, it is not what you know, it is who you know. University is not just about reading books, it is about the people you sit next to in class.
Is that really worth the cost, though? Making friends?
It is not just friends. It is your future professional network. The people you meet in university will become CEOs, managers, and partners. The professional network you build during these years is crucial. These are the people who will help you find jobs 5 or 10 years from now. If you study alone at home, you miss that community. You miss the chance to be surrounded by other ambitious people.
That is an interesting point, though I would frame it differently. I think community is important, but I am not sure you need to pay thousands of dollars to find it.
I look forward to hearing your perspective. Why do you feel university isn't necessary?
Well, I also have 3 main points. And my first one is the biggest one for most people. Cost, and specifically the return on investment.
The money. It is a big factor.
It is the biggest factor. The cost of tuition has gone up and up. In many countries, students leave university with huge amounts of debt. I want us to really think about that. Imagine starting your adult life with a heavy backpack of debt that you have to carry for 10 or 20 years.
It is definitely a heavy burden. I cannot deny that. It delays buying a house or starting a family.
Exactly. And the problem is the reward. Many graduates today struggle to find jobs related to their degrees. They spend 4 years studying, they pay all this money, and then they end up working in a coffee shop or a retail store because there are no jobs in their field. I question whether that financial investment is worth it. You are paying for a premium product, but getting a standard result.
That is a fair concern. If the job market isn't there, the degree loses value. What is your second point?
My second point is about the availability of knowledge. You mentioned learning from books and professors. But today, information is everywhere. It is often free or very cheap. You can take courses from the best universities in the world online for a fraction of the cost.
That is true. The internet has changed everything. You can access the Library of Alexandria from your phone.
Exactly. If you want to learn coding, graphic design, marketing, or even business management, you can learn it on your own. You don't need a lecture hall. You don't need to drive to a campus. You need an internet connection and motivation. The gatekeepers of knowledge are gone. The gates are open.
But does that replace the degree? Does watching a video replace the classroom discussion?
I think for many modern jobs, it does. Which brings me to my third point, experience over theory. In the past, employers looked for a certificate. They wanted to see the piece of paper. Today, especially in modern industries like technology or creative fields, employers want to see what you can do.
You mean they want a portfolio?
Yes, they value real-world experience. If I'm hiring a photographer, I don't care if they have a degree in art history. I want to see their photos. If I'm hiring a programmer, I want to see their code. I believe that 3 years of working in the real world teaches you much more than 3 years of sitting in a classroom listening to theory.
I see your point. You are saying that the world values practical skills more than academic titles now.
Exactly. The world is moving too fast for textbooks. By the time a textbook is printed, the information might be old. Real-world experience is always current. If you are working, you are learning the latest tools. If you are in school, you might be learning tools from 5 years ago.
Those are very strong arguments. We have the safety and structure of university against the cost and practicality of alternative paths. It seems like a battle between the old system and the new reality.
I think it is time to test these ideas. Let's move to our challenge round.
I am ready.
In this round, we are going to look at specific scenarios, situations that real people face. We will see how our arguments hold up when we apply them to real life.
Sounds good. What is the first scenario?
Let's talk about the unsure student. Imagine a generic student who is 18 years old, they finish high school, but they have no idea what they want to do with their life. They are confused. Should they go to university?
I think yes. I feel strongly about this. I think for the unsure student, university is actually the best place to be.
Why? Isn't that an expensive way to be confused?
It is expensive, but it is also safe. It is a safe environment to explore. You can take classes in history, then psychology, then biology. You can join clubs. You can figure out who you are. If you just stay at home or take a random job, you might not be exposed to these new ideas. University gives you time to mature and discover your passion.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective. I think university is way too expensive to be used for browsing.
But isn't exploration valuable?
It is valuable, but not at that price. If you are unsure, I think it is better to take a gap year. Go work, get a job, travel if you can. Try short, cheap courses. If you work for a year, you learn about responsibility. You learn what you don't like, and you make money instead of spending it. To me, using university to find yourself is a luxury that most people cannot afford anymore.
That is a compelling argument. But have you considered the momentum? Once you start working, it is very hard to go back to studying. University keeps that learning momentum going. If you stop, you might never start again.
You might get stuck in a low-paying job forever.
Maybe. But maybe that is okay if you find a career you love without the degree. Or maybe you go back to school later when you actually know what you want to study. Then you are efficient. Let's look at the second scenario, entrepreneurship. Someone wants to start their own business.
Okay, the next Elon Musk.
Right. I argue that if you want to start a business, you should just start it. Don't go to business school, take the money you would spend on tuition, and use it as your startup capital.
That sounds very risky. Very risky.
Business is risky, but the lessons you learn from failure are better than business theory in a classroom. You cannot learn how to handle the stress of a losing customer by reading a book. You have to feel it. Experience is the only teacher in entrepreneurship. You can read every biography of Steve Jobs, but until you try to sell something yourself, you don't know anything.
I understand, but I just don't buy that completely. Let me tell you why. The safety net of a degree is important. Most new businesses fail. That is a fact.
That is true. Statistics show most startups fail in the first few years.
Exactly. If you skip university, spend all your money on a business, and it fails, what do you have left? You have no degree and no money. If you go to university first, you have a credential to fall back on. You can get a job while you plan your next business. It acts as an insurance policy.
So you see the degree as an insurance policy?
Yes, and also university teaches discipline. Running a business requires organization, accounting, and legal knowledge. You can learn those broadly in university. It gives you a toolkit that helps you avoid failure in the first place. You can learn from the mistakes of others in class so you don't make them in real life.
That is a fair point. It is riskier to go without the degree, but I would argue the reward is higher if you start early. You have more time to fail and recover.
Let's move to the third scenario, skill-based work. I am thinking of things like graphic design, coding, or even marketing.
Right. My favorite area, the digital skills.
I acknowledge that hands-on skills are good, but I question if self-taught individuals have the depth of understanding that comes from 4 years of study.
What do you mean by depth?
I mean the history, the theory, the ethics. A self-taught coder might know how to write the code, but do they understand the computer science theory behind it? Do they understand why it works that way? University gives you a deep foundation. Self-learning often just gives you the surface level. It teaches you how, but university teaches you why.
I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning, because in the workplace, results matter more than theory. Hands-on learners often outperform academic learners because they understand the practice. They have spent thousands of hours actually doing the work.
But without the theory, can they adapt when the technology changes? The theory doesn't change, but the tools do.
Actually, I think self-learners are better at adapting. They had to teach themselves the first time. They know how to learn. They are used to hunting for information. Sometimes, academic learners wait to be taught. Self-learners go out and grab the knowledge. They have the skill of autodidacticism, teaching oneself. That is the most valuable skill in the modern world.
That is an interesting point. I suppose that depends on the field, and it depends heavily on the specific individual. Some people have that drive naturally, and others need the push from a professor.
I agree. And it depends on the industry. We can agree that for medicine, please go to university. But for marketing, maybe not.
Yes, there is definitely nuance here. It is not a simple black and white answer. It depends on your personality, your wallet, and your goals.
It never is. That is why we debate. Now, I want to turn to our listeners. We have been talking for a while, but we want to hear from you.
Yes, this is the most important part. We want to know your opinion.
So here is our question for the audience. Do you think university is necessary for success today?
It is a simple question, but the answer is complicated. You can comment simply yes or no if you like.
But if you want to rate more, please do. If you went to university, was it worth it for you? Did it help you get your current job, or do you feel it was a waste of time and money?
And if you did not go to university, do you feel you missed out? Do you feel like you hit a ceiling in your career because you didn't have the paper? Or are you happy with your choice?
Please remember to be polite in the comments. We love strong opinions, but we want this to be a respectful community. Use phrases like, I disagree because, or in my experience.
We will be reading the comments and we will reply to some of them personally. We really want to see what you think. We will pin the most thoughtful comments to the top.
Now, before we finish, let's take a moment for a light language reflection.
This is a short educational pause where we look at how we spoke today.
We expressed some very strong opinions, but I hope you noticed that we were never rude to each other.
That is key. When you disagree in English or any language, tone is everything. We used phrases like, "I see your point, but." This validates the other person before you contradict them. It shows respect.
Exactly. It shows you are listening. We also use some specific vocabulary regarding career paths. We use the word vocational training.
Yes, vocational training refers to education that prepares you for a specific job, like an electrician, a mechanic, or a chef, rather than general academic study. It is usually more hands-on.
We also talked about tuition. This is the money you pay to the university for your classes. And we mentioned opportunity cost.
That is a great concept. Opportunity cost means the value of what you lose when you choose something else. The opportunity cost of university is the money you didn't earn because you were studying instead of working.
And critical thinking. This is the ability to analyze information objectively and make a reasoned judgment. It is a very common term when discussing the benefits of higher education.
One thing I want to highlight is the value of listening to an opposing view. Even if you're completely sure that university is a waste of time, listening to my arguments about safety and structure helps you sharpen your own English understanding.
And it helps you sharpen your own arguments. You have to understand the other side to debate effectively.
Well said. So, we are coming to the end of our show.
It has been a great discussion. To summarize, I think we agreed that there is no single winner here.
No, it really depends on who you are and what you want to do. If you want to be a doctor, the path is clear. If you want to start a tech company, the path is open.
Both paths have merit. The university path offers structure, community, and recognized credentials. The alternative path offers financial freedom, real-world experience, and speed.
It is a personal choice, and it is a choice that might change as the world changes. 20 years from now, universities might look very different.
If you want to review the vocabulary we used today, please check the description below. We have a debate handout for you.
And we invite you to join us again for the next Epic Friday debate. We have another great topic lined up for next week.
That is going to be a good one. I can't wait to share it with you.
Thank you for listening, everyone.
I am Taylor.
And I am Jordan. See you next time.
Bye.